ayes have it. I'm sure the others will take a cue from our experienced Honorable Muraino. The 10th order of the day is a motion on the need to tackle the scourge of rape and other sexual offenses against children in Nigeria. Standing in the name of Hon Shina Abiola Peller. Hon Peller is...
I am Shina Peller. I represent Iseyin Tesiwaju. Kajola, Iwajowa Federal Constituency. I'm from Oyo State. I stand as the voice of the common man at the House of Representatives, and I rise today to raise a motion on the need to tackle the scourge of rape and other sexual offenses against children and women in general in Nigeria. The House notes that gender-based violence, such as rape and other forms of sexual abuses, has assumed serious dimensions globally and in Nigeria. The prevalence of rape cases is estimated at 80%, with the children and even babies not being spared the scourge, while the prevalence of incidents of rape among adolescent females is between 11 and 55%. Also note that the United Nations Children Education Fund, UNICEF, has observed that 1 in 4 Nigerian girls must have experienced sexual violence before the age of 18. Recalls that the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015 is considered a milestone as it strives to protect women and girls from all forms of violence, including sexual violence, such as rape, sexual assault, physical, psychological, and domestic violence, and even to harmful traditional practices. Aware that one Idris Ebiloma was alleged to have raped a 4-year-old girl and is currently under trial for the said offenses. Further note that Section 38, subsection 1 of Act entitles victims to comprehensive legal, medical, psychological, and social assistance to provide either by the government or non-governmental organization, and further entitles victims to be informed of the assistance available and immediate access to such services, as well as to rehabilitation and reintegration programs available to them at the expense of the state. Considered that the provisions of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act are not being implemented, as the required legal, medical, psychological, and social assistance has still not been provided to the vast majority of victims of sexual offenses in Nigeria. Also concerned that the absence of state-sponsored support, rehabilitation, and reintegration programs for victims of sexual abuses hampers the effort towards the prevention of sexual transmitted infections, prevention and management of unwanted pregnancies, prevention of HIV infection through the provision of post-exposure prophylaxis, and prevention of other diseases such as tetanus and hepatitis B. I pray to the House to resolve to, number 1, urge the federal government to establish rehabilitation and reintegration programs for the victims of rape and other sexual offenses in every state of the nation. Number 2, I call on that the House should call on the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to prepare a national policy framework to guide the implementation of Sexual Offences Act that will provide further certainty to the law regarding the age at which a person can consent to sexual activities. Number 3, also urge governments of states of the Federation to maintain sexual offences registers in the states. Number 4, for the House to resolve to further call on the Attorney General of the Federation to ensure that Idris Ebiloma, who was alleged to have raped a 4-year-old child, is diligently prosecuted for the offense he is accused of committing. Number 5, I pray to the House to mandate the Committee of Justice and Police Affairs when constituted to ensure compliance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues. Thank you, Tesiwaju Kajola, Iwajowa Federal Constituency from Oyo State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I believe that I do not need to remind this House the prevalence of rape in Nigeria and the way that every other countries around the world is taking this offense seriously. I believe that it's high time for this honorable House to put its feet on the ground and stand against this nefarious act. Like I said during the motion, when I was reading the motion, that 1 out of every 4 girls in Nigeria, according to UNICEF, has been sexually abused before the age of 18. And we all know that these numbers are increasing day by day. And I'm sure that if care is not taken, all of our girls, our children, and the children of people that voted for us, will experience this act. So I use this opportunity to appeal to this honorable House, Mr. Speaker, and honorable colleagues, that we should be the voice, we should speak for the voiceless, and also make sure that we defend the defenseless, and make sure that this honorable House do everything to shift the blame, to shift the agony, to shift the blame, the agony, and the psychological setback that goes to the victim, to the perpetrators of this nefarious act. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it.